3 new bells have arrived at Paignton railway station, ready to be loaded onto a steam train en route to Kingswear. One of the bells has been donated by Gary Lewis, son of Thomas William Lewis and named in honor of his father. The other 2, donated by the people of Kingswear, are the Jubilee Bell and the Coronation Bell, and all 3 are on the last leg of their journey from Taylor's Bell Foundry in Loughborough to Kingswear Church, a project that started 85 years ago. In 1939, Kingswear Church had 3 bells, all in need of repair, and Taylor's Bell Foundry took on the work. The damaged tenor bell was sent away to be melted down and recast, while the other 2 were refurbished. All 3 were then rehung on a new 6-bell cast-iron frame. However, the project was suddenly curtailed by the outbreak of World War II.
Never before in all history has the British Empire been so well prepared to defend its interests as it is in this tragic autumn of 1939. The world knows that Britain has not sought war. We believe faithfully that posterity will acquit this generation of these islands of any desire for war. Yet because the threat of conflict has been held against us so long, we have spent many months building up our great resources with tremendous organization. In the simple, moving words of the Prime Minister, we are ready.
Thomas William Lewis was born into a poor working-class family on the Downham estate, now part of the London boroughs of Lewisham and Bromley, and was built in the 1920s to rehouse families from the overpopulated parts of central London. In 1927, the Lewis family moved from Battersea to the estate, and Tom was born in 1932. However, as a child, he was evacuated 3 times during World War II, and with very mixed experiences. Tom's first evacuation to Folkestone was rushed, and consequently, the little 7-year-old was lost for 2 weeks, but happily rediscovered by his older brother, Sapper Henry Lewis, who was stationed nearby with the Royal Engineers. Tom often recalled their happy reunion, as well as the sadness of his brother's later capture and torture by the Japanese military police. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before Tom's family ties were cut again, when he was evacuated to a small village in the West Country.
For the second time in this war, and to another 120,000 of them, comes the great adventure. So it's goodbye to the cities and danger areas, labelled and loaded and not forgetting their gas masks. The children head for the special trains, and they're not worrying, they're off on a holiday.
Tom's second evacuation was to Misterton, Somerset, and was a very traumatic experience. He was bullied and starved by his host parents. He often recalled sitting on the bridge at Misterton railway station every day for months, hoping his mother would come to collect him. This, of course, made him very apprehensive and frightened when evacuated for the final time to Devon in 1943. Tom arrived at Churston railway station from Paddington on the Great Western Railway and was then put on a coach to Kingswear Village Hall for distribution. His host mother, Dorothy Battershaw, contemplated returning him, as she thought he was too small for house chores, but the streetwise 11-year-old boy from London frantically cleaned and tidied the cottage to impress her. Meanwhile, Dorothy's husband, rail worker and Home Guard volunteer Harry, had instantly bonded with Tom and was not going to let him go. As time passed, the childless couple had fallen in love with Tom, and he with them and the rural life.
Somebody opened the floodgates down on the farm, and out flowed all these happy little evacuees. We're not allowed to say much these days, of course, but from the conversation it sounds as though they may have come from some part of London, possibly Cockneys. Well, George, what have you done since you've been here?
Well, I've seen a rabbit.
Oh, have you seen a mare's nest yet?
No.
Nor have I.
Well, you said you asked me for then.
Kingswear became a huge part of Tom's life, and later for his children, and became an idyllic family holiday destination as they visited the Battershaws every year until Harry's passing in 1983. Gary says, "We loved both Harry and Dorothy like grandparents." As the train nears Kingswear railway station, with the bells reaching their final destination, an expectant crowd of Kingswear residents, including parish councillors, wait to welcome the bell hangers and watch them unload the precious cargo. The bells will then be put on a flatbed truck and driven the 200 meters or so to the church, where they will be blessed by retired vicar, the Reverend Canon Chris Malkinson. These are the very steps Tom walked up on his arrival in Kingswear as an evacuee, and it's touching to imagine him stood there looking up at the church tower for the very first time, little knowing that one day a bell in his honor would be rung by his son, and Kingswear Church would finally have its 6 bells, as planned 85 years before. Since the 3 new bells arrived in Kingswear on Sunday, bell hangers Carl and Nick successfully installed them, ready to be rung officially for the first time on Friday. Leading up to the evening event, Gary Lewis finally got the chance to ring the bell he donated, carefully guided by one of the 6 bell ringers, drafted in from the local area. As Gary proudly held the rope to the peace bell, he referenced his father's humanitarian work with the underprivileged and the elderly in his later life, and his lifelong promotion of peace and reconciliation with the German and Japanese people. A legacy that continues throughout the Lewis family today. Having rung the bell, Gary handed over the rope, and the bell ringers were then ready and on standby as a BBC Spotlight outside broadcast unit was preparing for a televised live interview with parish councillor Stephen Pearson. A large group of residents were also gathering and waiting to celebrate the event. During the interview, BBC South Devon reporter John Ayres asked Stephen, "What's been involved today to get all this together?"
The great thing is the entire village has come together for this. It was a concept first put forward by the parish council, who then spoke to Frost, which are the Friends of St Thomas's, and also the church, of course. And between them, they worked together tirelessly for the last 2 years. Originally it was meant to be 1 bell for the Queen's Jubilee, but the money just kept rolling in. So we then had enough money to get a 2nd bell, the coronation, and then a 3rd, which we called the peace bell. And I think the ringing of the 3 bells here tonight is going to signify all the hard work that's gone into it.
John Ayres then thanked Stephen, gave a countdown, the ringers were signalled, and the bells rang out.
He left home due to the Blitz. The Luftwaffe blew London to bits. A young boy left home on a train. He didn't know if he would see his family again. From Paddington to Churston, he went by train. As the bombs hit London, they fell like rain. Now heading to the village of Kingswear, miles away, wondering if he will like where he will stay. When he arrived, he wasn't too sure. He soon found love with the Battershaws. They took him in and treated him like their own. Wood Cottage, where he stayed, became his second home. He met children from the local surround, and it wasn't long before friendship was found. When the war ended back to London, he went, never forgetting Kingswear and the time he had spent. Years passed and return often he did, fond memories of his days there as a kid. Soon a bell will toll in honour of his name, the evacuee from London who came on the train.